All right, we are back. Day 191. We got a lot to cover, and I brought in the big guns. I brought in the reinforcements.
Can't see in the camera.
Look at them guns. All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Recap what happened to Duke. So Lindsay was able to go down to Duke for the first time and meet the team. We'll do the recap, give the updates, talk about what's upcoming. There's definitely a lot to go over to jump in, but I'm going to start with your first trip to Duke. So what were your like general overall thoughts on Duke and the team and I guess everything?
I loved Duke. I thought it was such a serene, super peaceful, very like eloquent, like just everything just was very put together. It was very calming. There was trees everywhere. Everything was well like manicured. There were people playing like music instruments in the courtyard and a piano in the front lobby with like a fire going, even though it was 95 degrees out. But it was just like, it just had like a mood to it, and like it was stress-free and felt really peaceful, and everything was seamless. From the minute you walked through the doors, or even just parked your car, to walking through the doors, to meeting with the team, to getting the test done, everything felt easy and seamless, which is certainly something you want when you're going into, an appointment of this nature. So I loved it. I'm excited, to be able to go back with you and explore further. And
and your first trip to Raleigh.
Yeah, it was my first trip to Raleigh and Durham. We were there for 48 hours and we packed a lot in, got to see a lot. It's such like, they're both really cool cities, and I don't know, they just have a good vibe to them. It certainly had a different energy than being, in Baltimore Hospital. So.
All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty recap. Monday, which would have been August 8th, we had the MRI. So first was an MRI, and then Tuesday was essentially the meeting with the surgeon, the appointment with the oncologist, not the surgeon, the oncologist and the PA to review the MRI. So MRI was the first day, did not go well. I had an allergic reaction to the MRI. So an MRI, this one was with contrast. So basically what they do is they take an IV, they put a dye essentially into your bloodstream. And so if an MRI is 30 minutes, the last third of it, so like let's say 10 minutes or 7 minutes or whatever, is when they put the contrast in. So I'm in the MRI machine and they let me know, okay, we're going to put the contrast in. When they put it in, immediately you feel it go through your body. And all of a sudden for me, in that moment, it all comes like rushing to my head. My throat starts getting really itchy. It starts feeling like it's closing. My chest gets really tight. I can literally feel from here all the way up where it just feels like somebody's squeezing. My stomach, I feel really nauseous. I feel like I'm about to throw up. It feels like somebody is like squeezing my intestines. My eyes get really itchy. My arms start getting jittery. And I think I'm about to pass out. It was miserable. It was one of the worst experiences I've had of anything that I've had done. So this was my third MRI. It did happen one time before at Duke. I said something about it. They kind of sent me on my way. They didn't really like acknowledge it or act like it was normal. Had my second MRI at Hopkins, and apparently there's like 3 different types of contrast. And so I didn't have a reaction the second time. So I guess it was a different contrast. Well, then I get to Duke and it happens. So my third MRI, which was Monday, 2 times MRI at Duke, 2 times allergic reaction. And essentially I get done with it. I made it through. I tell the nurse what happened, and then they had to monitor me for like 30 minutes. But probably not something you were expecting, me coming in with an allergic reaction.
No, he did not look good coming out of there. His eyes were completely bloodshot. Like you looked like you were like sweaty, and it was.
So they monitor me for 30 minutes, and then they proceed to tell me that I'm now flagged as like an allergic reaction patient. So from here on out, every MRI, I'm now going to have to do a 13-hour steroid protocol. So essentially what will happen is I'll need to do steroids leading up to my MRI beginning 13 hours in advance, and it'll be like 13, 6, and 1 hour prior, or 2 hours prior. I have to do the steroid protocol, which will prevent allergic reaction. So from here on out, I will have to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So trip starts off, MRI, miserable, horrible experience. Fortunately, you get over it pretty quickly. So after about 45 minutes, an hour, I'm good. I'm straight. Had a nice dinner together, a nice old dinner date. Then comes to Tuesday. So we had the appointment early morning Tuesday with my oncologist. So this is like my main person. So I'll say this. Long story short, that should have been like an hour. We didn't leave till after 4 p.m. So we were there for at least 7 hours, so a full day. So what happens, essentially, the meeting with the oncologist is to review the MRI I just had the night before. And unfortunately, and I'll show everybody this, this is actually the MRI we can show you. And I'll actually let you take over this. But unfortunately, there is another tumor. So they're saying there is a third tumor, which is what they found. So do you want to show them?
Yeah. So if you see, I guess this would be on the left side of your screen, the large mass there. Can you actually?
Yeah, they can see that.
Oh, you can see like pointing,
Yeah.
the arrow pointing?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So this mass was the original mass, plus the second growth that was shown on Christian's last scan back in June. The last scan was more of an oval shape. This one looks a little chaotic, a little messy, a little abnormal in shape. And basically what's hard to decipher here is how much of this is tumor and how much of this is necrosis. So like the dead tissue from the LIT procedure and radiation Christian had back in February. And without actually physically going into the brain and operating and seeing it, you can't really tell looking at it. So from that, their determination, do you want me to go into like what they're recommending we start?
No.
Or go back in?
Yeah.
So from that, you can see over here on the right side, this little lit up area. It's very tiny, almost exactly across from
Looks
the
like a
other
little
site.
spermie.
Yeah, looks like a little spermie. This is actually a new tumor growth. So this was not here during Christian's last scan back in June. So now we have what looks like to be 3 growths, one kind of big mass where it has kind of taken over the second mass. And now this third mass that is growing on the other side of the brain, which is actually not typical. Typically, they see more of the spreading on the same side of the brain, but it looks like some of the cells have made it to Christian's other side.
Yeah, so obviously not great news. I think being on the other side of the brain was a bit discouraging. I will say, on a lighter note, really quickly, in that moment when we have the oncologist in the room, a couple PAs, everybody's in the room, it did feel, I appreciate how quickly they move. So I'll talk about the treatment plan. And I felt in the moment that I'd picked the right team. You know, there was such a tough decision, but just the way they've been operating, I can't help. And whoever I choose, you can't help what happens with the cancer and how it advances. So I don't know if anybody really, it would have made any difference. I will say that as far as the cancer is concerned, it just feels like every time I go down there, there's like not good news. So having a third tumor, not great news. We were hoping for something more positive. However, on the bright side, the path moving forward was swift and was quick, and that's what we want. So as a recap, when they noticed the second area, they switched me off my first chemo into a new chemo. So the goal was, we thought we were going to continue this new chemo called lomustine. But in light that we have a third tumor now, they need to sort of shift gears. So I'm coming off the chemo. I'm getting onto a new therapy called Avastin, which, to be clear, is not chemo, and I'll read it because I pulled it up. It's a blood vessel growth inhibitor used for certain advanced stage. Actually, it says metastasized breast cancers, but I get some cancers. But the whole goal is the thought of slowing down or inhibiting blood flow. These tumors feed off of blood flow. So I think the idea is to restrict the blood vessels and essentially just restrict blood flow and cut that off to the tumor. Definitely getting rid of this third one because it's smaller and hopefully addressing it rather quickly. And I think best case scenario would be maybe even shrinking the other tumors as well. At minimum, we don't want any growth. Worst case scenario is they keep growing. And it seems like, again, they're not waiting around. So I would imagine after the Avastin, so the Avastin, what it is it's an IV, it's an IV therapy. So I will go in to Hopkins for 30 minutes every 2 weeks and get this IV. And that will hopefully address this third tumor and hopefully the other two as well. But it'll be every 2 weeks for 30 minutes. I'll go into Hopkins, I'll do that. And then for 3 rounds. So that'll lead us up to 6 weeks, scheduled to be back at Duke. And again, another MRI and another meeting with the oncologist. And at that time, the MRI will hopefully show some positive movement from the Avastin. So no more chemo for now. Avastin will be a new medication or therapy. And then hopefully quickly addressing the tumor. And it sounds like if the Avastin doesn't work, it sounds like pretty much they're going to look at like a trial. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But I do appreciate that we're not really waiting. We're seeing them every 6 weeks. It's quick. And then we're swift when we're changing direction or moving to other things. Did you want to add anything?
No, I think that was
it. Side effects wise, apparently they're saying that there's minimal side effects. They have to monitor my blood because there may be some clotting issues. There's others, just small things. Blood pressure, yeah. So there's a chance I may go on blood pressure medications, but really nothing that said is going to be any worse than chemo, and probably a little bit easier than chemo. So that's good news. Stay posted on that. So all in all, I mean, I'm so tired of hearing about new tumors, and it's scary. And we know this is aggressive and this is what happens, but that's kind of where we stand as far as that's concerned. So beyond that, I just want to talk about what's upcoming because I don't just want to focus on this. Not a great trip. We got the news and we're going to move forward. We'll be back down in 6 weeks. So September 25th, around the 25th through the 28th, we'll be heading back down to Duke, and we're going to do it all over again. On a fun note, we got a lot of good stuff upcoming. August 19th, we're going to see Kevin Hart. So that'll be fun. We'll see him in DC. August 20th through the 24th is the big Puerto Rico trip. Woo. We got a huge crew. That was weak.
What? It was weak?
Yeah.
Woo!
So we have Puerto Rico trip. That's good. That was more like it. And new shirts are ordered. So they're new shirts finally ordered. So I'll be putting a link up in the email if anybody's interested. We're going to do one design. It's going to have the lit just on the chest. It says love is the treatment underneath, and it's going to have the love is treatment in the back. So it'll be one design in black or in white, and we're going to keep it simple. So we got a lot of good stuff, exciting stuff. We have events beyond that, just a lot of things going on. But all in all, I think we're doing a pretty good job.
I think so too.
How you feeling?
I feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I do. And I feel like despite how heavy the appointments were, I felt like we found like light and laughter and fun through it all. And I think that is important, that you see that through this process and not get buried under the news and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, so. She cried.
I did. Yes. The oncologist gave me a hug. I softened his heart, but it's a lot to take in. But all in all, I think it was a good trip, and we're just gonna keep pushing forward and keep fighting this battle. So.
All right. Well, let us know if you want more LP back. She seems to think that she's like what are you? Like you're the,
Well,
what's the word?
Well, apparently, based off the last video,
Oh
I
my
was an
gosh.
orangutan. So I thought
Orangutan.
Orangutan.
Ellie, yeah.
So I brought a banana for my gorilla over here, and
I
you
thought
can
it was
do
your mountain mule.
no, you can do some fun tricks
No,
with
you're not
this.
going to stop it.
Sorry, well, I'll share the video on my Instagram so you can see the fun tricks that Christian does with bananas. So.
The main entertainment. She seems to think that. So we'll try to get her on for another one. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.